Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time coming to my channel, my name is Kobe Mercury Clark. I've been a photographer since the ripe old age of 9 years old. I've shot from way back, instant cameras, film cameras, rangefinders, SLRs, moved into the mirrorless realm, which wasn't really for me. Went back to a DSLR, and I decided to give back to the community to create content to help other newcomers to photography in regards to education and stuff. My channel does center around Pentax. However, a lot of the information that I do provide is actually valuable. It doesn't matter what brand of camera that you are actually shooting. So anyway, in this video, this is going to be about composition, how to compose a shot. Showing you with me standing in the exact same position, pretty much, just holding the camera, taking a shot, see what it looks like. But then expand your mind to kind of figure out how to better tell a story without doing anything crazy elaborate or anything like that. Just basically step off to the side, change your position, lower yourself down, change the angle. You're still within, say a 3 or 4 foot radius of where you were initially standing. And the difference that can make is absolutely remarkable. Unfortunately, when I did do this, it was a very gray day. There's like no light, nothing, just gray. It's just bleh. It's terrible. With that said, another issue, I do apologize. Don't kill me. Don't shoot the messenger. These shots are not going to be fantastically sharp. I'll tell you that right now. It was my own oversight. Did a firmware update on my camera, and I completely forgot that all the autofocus fine tuning that I had done with all my lenses got overwritten with the new firmware. I went out and I shot, realized after the fact, but I mean, it's one of those things. Once you get to a location, you do your shots, it's over. You go back, it's not going to be the same shots, right? At the time when I went, there weren't a lot of people or anything, so, it is what it is. But this is in regards to the actual look, telling a story, centering out certain elements within the shot, right? That's what we're looking for. So it's not about absolute sharpness, it's about the location and position of the actual scene. So let's just get to it. Blah. All right, so this very first shot, I basically just took this just straight down. And that was really it. I didn't really put any thought into this whatsoever. I just got there, I looked, yeah, okay. And I just took a shot. And the lens I was using is a 17 to 70 I believe it was 17 to 70 f2.8 to 4 on a crop sensor camera. So I was using my Pentax K3. So this is at 17 millimeters, pretty wide, but it doesn't really say anything, So standing pretty much in the same position, just slightly moved over a little bit, held the camera in a different spot, and we get this. Zoomed in, I went from 17 all the way out to 70, just turned over to the side a little bit, and took this shot. So now you can tell the story is this line of rocks here, got the one tree, and you've got this lighthouse just here at the end. No other distractions. That's it. It's very centered. So again, this was from the wide angle, pretty much the same positioning. All I did was really just zoom in on this spot right here. Completely changed the way this image looks. But now you have something in focus, and along here, along the rock ledge, or rockway, I guess you can call it, this is actually leading, it leads the viewer's eyes up to the actual lighthouse. So this is more of a visual story. And the next shot here, pretty much the same thing. I think at this point, did I change the aperture? No, I didn't change the aperture. I just gave slightly different well, I guess slightly different angle, just by a smidgen. But I wanted to illustrate something. So there's this tree here, if you look over on the right side. This is a distraction, and this is something you need to pay attention to. You need to make sure that you are not actually introducing distractions into the image or something that may take away from the image. Now in the shot, I just went back. So in the shot before, I made sure that that was not actually in the image. So it's just very clean. Exactly what I wanted in here is exactly what's in here. The other thing too, in this shot, there are two birds back here. I did see them when I was taking the shot, but that's another distraction, and I wanted to prove this point, right? So, I mean, this is okay, but this is better. So moving on, let's see, I didn't take a billion shots or anything. So this, pretty much standing in the same spot, all I did was crouch down, angled the camera up a bit, and you get a completely and utterly different look. So again, that's me fully standing up, and this is crouching down with the camera facing slightly up. So again, completely and utterly different composition. This, the focus is on the tree. Clearly, it's on the tree. The lighthouse is more of an afterthought. Next shot, pretty much the same thing. The only difference really is the lighthouse here and the rocks is pretty much the only real major difference. So cutting out some of the rocks, but the problem with that is some of the rocks are in here, and it doesn't go together because there's sections missing, right? So this actually becomes more of a distraction away from the tree in comparison to this, where this is more of an afterthought. I know it's green, it does stand out a little bit, but with the rocks and everything, this is just more cohesive, at least to me. This one here is just, it's like cutting off somebody's limb when you're doing a portrait. And the next shot here, pretty much the same thing. Trying to focus through in order to get to the lighthouse, but there's just way too many distractions. Now, I'm still standing in pretty much the same location, right? So, I mean, these are all different looks you can get from just slightly changing your position to illustrate different elements within the story that you want to tell. So next shot over. Now this is just completely and utterly zoomed out, but going along the rock line here, similar to the very first shot, except now these branches are in the way, right? Because one thing you have to maintain is our brains will kind of play tricks with us. Certain things that we don't actually see because we're looking through something, the camera's still going to pick that up. The camera doesn't have a brain like we do where it can actually fill in the gaps or eliminate certain things that you don't want to actually see, right? We can see through things, cameras will just pick it all up. So that's another thing to actually keep in mind. Just because you're looking at, there's a lot of times you're looking around, you see something, you think it's great, you take the shot, and once you actually look at the picture you took, it's not even close to what you actually saw with your own eyes, right? So that's the major difference with that. And this one here, I zoomed in just to blur all the branches and everything. This section here is still a bit of a distraction, but this works better than that, obviously. But again, this was taken at standing in the exact same spot. And the next one, some people fishing. This is a terrible photo. I'm just going to be straight up. This is an absolutely terrible photo. There's no story here whatsoever. You've just got random things on the ground. You've got the sand. You've got, the father, the daughter with her fishing rod, and you've got this whole wide, vast area here in the clouds. But there's where is the focus? Is the focus the sand? Is it the logs? What is happening here, right? So standing in the same position, just zoomed in a bit, made sure I had this guy in the corner here, had her. She just happened to look over at me. She said hi to me after. They were cool, But again, there's another tree right over here, so I actually had to kind of move. I had to angle the camera slightly just to eliminate this extra piece of tree here, because that would have been an absolute distraction and it would have been cut off, right? So, you know, kind of like this one here. But in post, what I generally would have done is just I would have painted all of this out, layered it out, or masked it out. There we go. And, you know, so it would have just been the clouds, right? But, you know, this isn't for a paid gig or anything. And this one here, this one tells a story. You've got her fishing rod here, so you know that she's fishing. There's no massive amount of foreground. It's just she's standing in the water. You know, here's the actual scene, and that's it. You know, just a very simple, plain, get to the point, focus on the story, and done, right? So that is perfect in comparison to this. I mean, yes, you know, she does have her father, but there's still too much stuff everywhere, right? Just want to kind of focus on exactly what you're shooting. And then from here, I just moved over to the other side of the rocks, you know, to focus on the lighthouse again. So that's one shot. Whoops. And this is zoomed all the way out, so I'm at 17 millimeters. And, you know, this is pretty much, I mean, there's just way too many branches, right? So what I was looking for was to focus on this and see if I could actually make it just go through, but you can't, right? So distractions will be distracting, and sometimes there's nothing you can do except for change your position. Now this seagull, this is an all right shot. The thing is, I wanted more of a story because the seagull was staying away from people. As I walked over, it started, you know, it was kind of looking at me like, oh, what are you doing? Kind of moving away. So with that, I actually stayed where I was and waited until it got closer to this rock to give the story of seclusion. There's just the water. There's nothing around here. A very, very, very short instance of foreground. So that way, you know, you can really tell the seagull is just trying to hide. It's trying to stay away from everybody. It just wants to be by itself. So I thought that this worked better than this shot that I showed before. All right, so to me, there's too much foreground to actually tell that kind of story. I wanted the whole seclusion, hiding, that kind of thing. And that's pretty much it. And then this one, I just randomly took this shot for absolutely no reason, just because. And yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know, so don't be afraid to move around. Don't be afraid to look, and don't be afraid to, you know, try different angles, different perspectives, things like that. Use the zoom in, zoom out. Everything will make a change in regards to your composition, and pay attention to distractions, background, foreground, how much of the foreground, and try to get an idea as to what kind of image, what kind of story is it that you're trying to tell, and focus on that. Anyway, I hope this video helped you out. If you like the video, leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you'd like to donate to the channel, I leave that information at the bottom of the description. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And you guys will see me on my next video. I'm out.